Well, good morning. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. How is it going? Happy Monday. Oh, this winter, the white winter bright sun is so, it's such a signature thing to winter, isn't it? I've got so much snow outside, and the snow is so bright when it hits it. We know this from driving around, right? That blinding bright winter night, winter light. It is so nice. It is getting lighter at night too. I noticed yesterday I pulled in after 5 o'clock from getting a new computer. This isn't it yet. It's gonna take some time. And I realized it was like still light out. And I thought, wow, exciting. We are headed in the right direction, aren't we? As much as I'm enjoying this winter, and I really am, we had to dig out like a loop of deep snow in the front yard so that Buttons, the dog, could make his rounds, right? Because he's up on the porch and he's been peeing and stuff on the porch and in the driveway, but he misses the yard and it's like under many feet of snow. So he made this kind of little, I guess it's like a corn maze for a tiny dog. He can just kind of loop around, but he runs around it like a greyhound running around a track. Um, and I think it's going to be good. It's going to offset the barking and the pent up energy that also is one of the signature things about winter. It really is. Buttons, what is that in the bird box? I hope that's not like maybe it's the core to a fruit. It looks like an animal skeleton, but hopefully it's not, right, Buttons? Hopefully someone didn't contribute something to the bird feeder. He's looking at me like, what, Mama? Busy weekend here. And before we get started, I want to show you, for those of you, I got some emails because it's February. Oh my God, it's February. I guess it's February. I mean, it's hard to imagine. It has been an eternal month of January, but nonetheless, in my head it was like January 16th. So it's February 2nd. It is what it is. Um, I got a couple of I've been so, focused on a couple of the big projects like finishing the Rose book. I'm so close to completing the text on that. Um, and I've done 99% of the getting the patterns out for the Spill in the Tea book. So for the first two books of the year anyway, feel like everyone's working away. We're on good shape. We're in good shape as a group. And and if you do want to spill in the tea pattern, let me know. I think I have 4 or 5. I haven't looked at them over the weekend, so I'll probably post in Patreon and say these are the finished patterns for ones that are available, and some of them are very new. So I think one of them is one you might have seen before, but I have changed it significantly. So new eyes, new ideas, new space in your brain to take on another project. It would be a great one to take on. I'm going to need a photo, a very high quality photo of the finished pieces for Spill in the Tea in the middle of May, just so we can get the book out for sure by the 4th of July. So I really want that to happen so that it really is on target to, no pun intended, to come out at the 250th anniversary, right, of the independence and shots ringing out and all that stuff. So be thinking about that. And I will start working on the next magpie. This magpie is also at its final stages of being put together. We looked at Jessica's hooked rug of a pattern that Kirsten Gay and Karen Garby did, Pitter Pat Press, for the cover of Magpie Times magazine, and that is looking so pretty. It is a gorgeous piece, and you will see close-ups of that in the magazine as well as that featured on the cover. I did a 1-minute short video on YouTube over the weekend so you could see a video of some of the bling and some of the close-ups of the. I mean, Jessica used so many different materials. It's well worth really focusing in on them. So the video is just a short helper, but there will be a feature article associated with that piece that's coming out too. So I over the weekend did get some messages about when is the February kit coming out. The answer is this afternoon. So let me just remind you, and then we are going to get into our content for today, which is picking up that beautiful book we were looking at for cocktail time on Friday, Magnificent Bugs and Rugs, curated by Leslie Knight and Yvonne Eiten Scott, right? So we started looking at that on Friday. We're going to conclude that, if not conclude, at least continue it in just a minute. This was the January pattern that came out as a kit. This is part of the series that is called The Months at Mousehole Farm. And of course, there's a little mouse with her 2 terrier dogs laundry and lint ball. And in the first one for January, she is putting her Christmas tree out. She is done with the holiday. She's putting it outside, and we are moving on to the year. Remember that these will connect sideways. So, for example, look at the little house, her little Pepto-Bismol colored house over on the side, and you see how part of it is cut off. That will connect sideways to the next one, and they will go 3, 3, 3, 3. I asked some of you who are, I think I used the term hell bent on doing all 12, to definitely let me know, because this is a limited kit. I can't. These include a lot of over dyed textured wools, all from Door, and I can't keep in. I'm too small of a business to be able to financially keep in stock lots of textures and lots of over dyes. That might or might not sell. So the January kit sold out. I imagine all of them will sell out. Some of you wrote and said, and I loved those who titled your email to me, I am hell bent. Um, so I will contact you first, and I will remove quantity wise the available number of the subsequent kits starting with February today. I will subtract that from the kits that are available until I know that you all have ordered, because I do want to give preference to people who are ordering the full kit every time. I know there's some beginners who are invested in the series. I know there are some old friends who are invested in the series. But I just want to be sure that if you started making the investment in these monthly kits, that you will be able to complete it, because I don't have the brains or the technology to be able to set up a subscription. And I know I don't have the time for people to be saying, I changed my mind, something changed in my life, I can't do this. And it would be like another part-time job for me. So introducing the February kit. Oh, I haven't thought of a name for this one yet. Help me think of a name for it while we're here. It is very, very bright this morning, but this is the February kit, and this will be the last one for the beginning of the year anyway that we see snow. And you see how you see the continuation of the little house over here. Those two will fit together perfectly side to side. At the end of the year, I'll show you how to sew them together. So in this one, our main character is going sledding, and her two dogs, Laundry and Lint Ball, are there. A little hat tip to February. Love is in the air with all of these hearts. I'll show you the Crazy 8 color set that's included. You see the textured wools in the hearts, right? There's like a light one, and there's a more dark sort of coral one. Those are all Door wools. These are all Door wools, with the exception of this kit comes with, by the way, sorry, there are two colors in the sky, part of the Crazy Eights. There are two colors in the ground, Crazy Eights. So there, with all of these sets, there is a Crazy Eight set, which is an extra large sample pack of wools, right? I'll show you those colors in just a second, but that's not enough to complete it. So I will also put in strips of all of the other colors that are in this project as part of the kit. So you're able to do the whole project. You will end up with extra wool from your Crazy Eights, and that goes into your stash for future hit or miss projects or future brainstorms. So some of the other, I don't know if this is going to help, materials we're seeing, your pink house will come as strips, your green tree will come as strips, all of your black will come as like number 3 strips that I pre-cut for you. Otherwise, they're 5 strips, with the exception of the Crazy Eights, which are not cut. So you get number 5s for the whole background of everything except a little bit of black outlining in these pieces. As you can see, not everywhere, just in some places. I will pre-cut that to a 3 for you. So this is an extra strip color. This is an extra strip. The black's an extra strip. You'll get the chimney color, which is a maroon. You'll get the stump color. I don't know if you can see here, but the mittens and the placket are like a black watch plaid. So that's a multi-plaid. That'll be there for strips for you. The tone, the face tone, which is like a mousy gray brown, that'll be there for you as strips. And here's more of the maroon. And I don't know if you can tell, but the material on this in the sled is also a patterned. So that will be there as strips as well. You're getting 2 extra plaids with this kit. This gray and maroon one for the sled, and then the sort of black watch multicolor for the mittens and the placket. Oh, and the red, right? And the red for the heart. And in the background of the heart is the multi-plaid. So the February kit looks like that, and I will have it up after the show. I just finished it because I had to dye the last colors, like the mouse color and the tree color. I had to dye one of the dogs. I had to dye those last night, and then I had to wait for them to dry overnight. So I was just finishing hooking those right before the show began. Gave it a quick press, blocking it. Oh, also, did you see the mustard yellow boots? That's also in strips, right? That's like a gold color in the boots. So everything is included in the kit, but they are limited. The Crazy Eights, and I haven't had time to put them together into a Crazy Eight formation, is this stack. This one is out of place. Let me get rid of that. So for this month, this is a big load, right? We've got this multi, which is a straight door that's white with like some green, very soft green, very soft peach. That's one of the sky colors. And then we have got this, I'm dropping everything, really wild, like kind of bright pink snapdragon color. That was her coat color. Of course, you can change these colors around. You don't have to do it exactly the same as mine. Then we've got this bubblegum pink, right? The one sheet of each of these is in your Crazy 8 set. So this bubblegum pink for her nose and for the trim on her coat. Straight up white, which you'll mix with the door tweedy white, right? The like stripy one for the snow, right? So there's two materials in the snow. One is a solid white, natural, and the other one is that printed one. Over dyed, this is another door, right? These are all door. This is an over dyed kind of coral, but it sort of changes color from one size to the next. It's modeled, right? It's not a pure. This is for some of the hearts. So you could also make this for the coat. If you prefer this for the coat and you want the pink for the hearts, totally up to you. But this whole set is made up of pinks, corals. This is like a super light gray, like a blue bonnety gray, and it goes in the sky with this super light green. So it may be hard to tell on camera that these are two different colors, but they're both super icy light, and those are your sky colors. And this is your last color. So this is another one that you could use for, and this one is kind of dipped. So it has color variation. It goes from the light gray check still door to like coral. And that's for hearts too. So if you're thinking there's way too much material there to do these hearts, there is, but that's because these packs are supposed to be giving you extra material to put into your stash for other projects, right? You might use all of your whites for the background. You might well do that. In fact, I'll probably put in some extra white strips just in case you're a high hooker. You'll probably almost use those two blues for the sky. I didn't quite use them both, but if you're a high hooker, you might get close to using them both, but you will never use the rest of the other pieces to complete this kit. It's just more material than you use. But the whole idea is to get the colors and to have some leftovers for some other projects. So I'm aware it's not a kit in that regard. It has everything you need to make the project, but you will have a lot of leftover stuff, which is fun, right? We are hoarders by nature. Let me start saying my good mornings. I'm so glad I got that done. That was such a source of stress this weekend. Juju Needlewise, hello from chilly, sunny and chilly Pennsylvania, where Philly saw, oh, Phil, that little bastard. He saw his shadow this morning. It was so cute, though. I was watching that too. It's just theater, isn't it? Because like I've never actually watched it before, and I kind of thought that they like let him out from behind a rock or something, and that he literally peeked around, made a decision, and went back in a hole. But they have like this big stump of a tree on a stage, and there's all these men dressed up in sort of like Dickensian regalia and top hats, and it's all theater. It was very exciting because I've never watched that before. So funny. And of course they had Phil there. He must be a pet. He's very domesticated because he was loving being petted. His little eyes were like falling asleep while he was up on stage. It almost like made me emotional when they took him out of his little stump where he was hanging out until they like showed him to the crowd, and the crowd went crazy. It's like this little tiny soft animal, like he has no idea the amount of excitement that's like surrounding his appearance. People were like going out of their minds. It was so cute. But he didn't see his shadow. He chose a scroll. And I have a feeling that all of the scrolls were the same, with a beautiful poem, right? A very fun kind of poem that ended in the sort of sad news that there will be 6 more weeks of winter. But you can't blame him. He's too cute, right? But I think we all suspected that might be the case with the amount of snow on the ground still for so many of us, with the exception of the Canadians who still have snow. But I got the report last night from Linda Ann that it was like 45 degrees there. And meanwhile, it was like -7 here. And it was like, what? What is going on? Topsy-turvy world. Oh man, that was fun to watch this morning, though, wasn't it? Melissa, great to see you. Good morning. Great to be with you too. Kirsten, happy Monday. Great to see you. Happy coffee time. Cold and sunny in Vermont. It is nice to be here for sure. Cheryl, great to see you. Good morning. And I guess it's cold everywhere except in Western Canada. Incredibly. And I'm thinking Catherine is not cold in Southern California. Thinking Gail's not cold in Australia. But I think the rest of us are freezing right now. I just love the discussions about the rugs. Me too. It is time to look at more of the bug rugs for sure. And as I said, there's many more in this book. I was kind of in touch with Gail Dufresne over the weekend. So you know that Gail Dufresne, still in this video, there should be contact information for both Leslie in Canada and Gail in the US. If you're looking to get one of these books and you don't want to pay $40 for shipping or more, make sure you get it from the person who makes the most sense. As far as I know, they're still available and there's still inventory, but I do know a lot of people bought this weekend. So if you are loving this conversation, you're thinking maybe later, I'm not kidding, and I've fallen into this hole so many times myself. It is a limited edition book, so when they are gone, they are truly gone. Because this is like a self-published little wonder, and it is essentially the playbill to this amazing show. And not everybody got to see the show in person, so all the more important to be able to really look at these images close up on your own time, right? Tucked in, nice and warm. Hans, great. Oh, hey, Lar, good morning from Las Vegas. It's a sunny Monday over there. That sounds great. Mimi, good morning. Great to see you. Slightly warmer in Nebraska. There we go. Excited to see more bugs. It was so much fun on Friday. Talking about the bugs, wasn't it? And looking at the different compositions. We talked technically about so many of the compositions because conversations are bound to come up along the lines of, well, like, how did they do that? And these are such worthwhile conversations for people who are very experienced hookers and beginners as well, because we forget, or someone else, since we did this thing last, someone else has figured out a better way to do it or an easier way to do it. And we want to know the way. So this is a great opportunity to share and to talk about how you get some of these like grand effects in hooked pieces. Karen, great to see you. Good morning in cloudy and mild Black Forest, Colorado. Jane, great to see you in chilly and sunny Maryland. Marilyn, good morning. Great to see you. MC, Peculiar, hello, everybody. Peace and blessings all to you, too. I'm learning so much from everyone. Oh, I'm so glad. Me, too. I'm always learning. Every single time I look on our Facebook group, too, there's something going on, and I think, wow, people are so talented. Rita, great to see you. Howdy. It's happening again, and it's not my sweet Lord. It's the snow. Oh, and I love it. If I can't be in Florida, I want to be buried under snow. That's the spirit. Oh, that's the spirit. You were able to get a book from Gail. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. It looked like she was busy with correspondence. So that's great. It's so nice when things work out, because so many times with books that we see, the book is just not in print anymore. Someone's looking for something. It just can't be had. And then you get some jerk on eBay who's selling it for like $400. And it's like so disappointing, for those of us who are so hardcore building our rug hooking libraries and are so sincere about like wanting a specific title and just becoming obsessive about getting certain books. I know I'm like that. I will always be like that. It's so disappointing when you can't. So it's always really good news when I hear that you can. I was able to order, but okay, great. And it's warmer here in central Indiana today. We have a high of 26. That's headed toward freezing. That's headed toward just, where we want to be. We don't want it to melt too soon here anyway, because then all if it melts, all of this snow up here on the mountain is going to go sliding down the hill and then it's going to freeze at night, right? And create like a black ice situation. So dangerous and so crazy. You know what else? Now, I'm going to get into commentary in a minute. I had such a frustrating weekend. Tell me if this has ever happened to you. The whole weekend wasn't frustrating. It was wonderful. And we had a wonderful sleepover. We had a buddy over, Teddy's buddy, August, now Rose. And Rose is just my favorite person to come over. She is just such a good person and so good for both my kids. I mean, we did some Pokemon swapping at a store. We went to a live swap, which I thought was so So much fun because my daughter Jocelyn is very, um, she's we believe, and everyone believes as we wait for our eternally wait for our appointment, that they are both on the spectrum, but she's a little more socially challenged than Teddy. She really lacks confidence and she has a massive anxiety problem. We got to the Pokemon swap thing, and she had her Pokemon book with her, which she had really labored over putting together the cards that she might want to swap, because you have to be, I mean, she has like hundreds and hundreds. So you want to be thoughtful. If someone wants to swap one with you, it has to be one you're comfortable swapping. Because if you're not a really strong person and someone's like, I want that one, you might like give and say, okay. And then your heart is broken forever because you gave it up. So she was really thoughtful about what she swapped. And she was so cute. She was really nervous about swapping. And another girl came up to her immediately and they made a nice swap. And they were both so polite to each other. They didn't exchange information. I thought, Jossie, why not? You have like no friends here. Like, why not? Like something in common. And then she was very sort of it made her feel better that she was able to do the swap. So then she took her um, book. She was sitting at the table with me. She was like under my wing, and she doesn't like it when I speak for her, but she doesn't speak for herself, you know. So she was like, "Do you mind if I sit at the other table by yourself?" So she appeared more available to other people approaching. And I said, "No, you should absolutely, go over to that table and see if other people come to you." So she sat up at the other table. I wonder if you can see this photo. I know there's like a glare on it, but it was like, it's probably not going to come in. Her little face. You can't see it, right? Her little face. She was so cute. She went over there with her book. See, my computer's doing all this crazy stuff. And it was so funny because she just kind of waited, looking around, kind of desperately. It reminded me of sitting at the lunch table, in school and hoping somebody would sit with me. It was that face. I remembered it immediately. All right, let me see what's going on here. Hang on, I'm having a technical problem. And if this is going to happen, I'm going to be in trouble. Don't take it personally. I'm going to beat the hell out of this computer for a second because that seems to be. This is the reason I got a new computer this weekend. We have got a problem. And it's a very specific problem. Okay, there we go. Hang on. There we go. It's a very specific problem. It's very frustrating. And the problem is, no, let me see if I can fix this other problem. The problem is, and this is where I was going. Tell me if this has ever happened to you with your computer. Do you enjoy having a computer, which it's very hard to not have this kind of computer, that has a touch screen? Are you enjoying this in your life? I mean, maybe some of you are. I don't enjoy this kind of thing. I'm not anti-technology and anti things moving forward in the world. I'm all for technology and life being easier. But I'll tell you what is not easy is when I've got this stupid computer that is not even old that I really can't use anymore because even though the touch screen is turned off, right, because it does all this ghostly stuff on its own, that problem is back even though that function is turned completely off. It's the same thing as the computer in my car. Tangent's going to last 1 minute, I promise. This weekend, my computer started doing this amazing thing where the arrow, like the cursor arrow, started when I wasn't even touching the computer, started moving around like a Ouija board, right? And it's clicking on things while I'm like not even touching the computer. It's clicking on things and it's moving files into the trash. It's moving files into like other folders. And I'm just like, wow, it's like I've accidentally contacted someone from the dead and they are using my computer instead of me. And we couldn't fix this problem. So we had to go to Best Buy and buy another computer. And I bought a really cheap computer that can still do word processing for writing books and writing magazines, but that doesn't have that stupid, I hope that's never happened to you because that is a super frustrating thing to have to deal with. And because it's a computer problem, it's totally bewildering and it's appears to be unfixable. So here's more money, Best Buy. I'll cross your palm with silver yet another time. I didn't get any insurance out on this one. I plan to have it for a year because I assume it's going to break in a different and spectacular way again. I am so sick of technology. Happy Monday, Diane. Buttons, poor little tiny thing disappears in the snow. He does just his little tail like a flagpole sticks out of the snow, so cute. Okay, let's come back over here and look at some more fun in this bug book. So this was the last image we were looking at on Friday. And it was perfect that this was the last image because this was Gail Dufresne's beetle. Do you remember? So let's come here to start with this morning, and let me find this one in the book. Now, you remember the format of last week was that we would look at the image, and then I would read you the poem that Leslie and Yvonne wrote. And we found out at the end of the episode, Rita, was it you that told us that the idea was that this would be like a children's book, and that's why there is verse that describes the sort of function and attributes of each of these bugs. Interesting, right? So this is the Genji firefly. You know, I always wondered what a firefly looked like close up. I figured he had a great big butt, right, that was lit up. I figured that part out on my own. So and I'll tell you in just a minute who hooked this one, because remember that index is at the back of the book. It's a slightly different format. And this all makes sense because it's not like a gallery book for rug hookers, it's a children's book. And because it's a children's book, the emphasis isn't on what is the cut of the material, who hooked it, right? The emphasis is on what character is this and what's special about this insect. So that all makes a lot of sense now. Oh, wait a minute. Let me come down in the thread. I think I missed something. Um, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I did miss a whole bunch. Naomi, great to see you. What a brave girl. I know she a good girl. Constantly wiping wool dust off of mine. Oh man. Oh man, I had a major chimney thing last night. My husband forgot to shut the flue, and then he put on like the interior exhaust, and it sucked a bunch of wood ash into the living room. It was absolutely amazing. And then he put the Roomba to work, as if the Roomba almost accidentally, died trying to clean. Oh my God, I'm so tired of winter messes. I'm tired of dust and ash and all of that stuff. Has your computer been hacked? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think, I mean, not that I know of. Um, no, I think it was just that stupid, unearthly cursor moving around on this board because it has some kind of a sensor, and even though it was turned off, it's still busy doing its thing. It's been doing it for a couple of years. It comes and goes, and just like with anything else, toothache, whatever, weird freckles, everything, my inclination is to wait and see if it goes away. But it has gone way too far at this point. Like, the Ouija board has taken over the computer. So yeah, I'm done with the Rose book. 99% done. There's no way I'm going to lose the content on this computer. We're going to move it all over. I can't imagine how set off I would be if that stupidness happened, right? So the Genji firefly. In Japan, they're Hotaru and represent love. Their lights are lost souls that can be seen from above. They glow along streams on hot summer nights, pollution's decreasing this wonderful sight. A unique flashing pattern each species creates. Males flash every 6 seconds to help find a mate. They go through 4 stages and each of them glow. Perhaps this is something you already know. Well, I didn't. I didn't know. So let's find out as hookers who made the Genji Firefly. This is Fumio Hashisuko, and she's a very well-known hooker, right? She is our auxiliary member from Japan at Tigger, right? She's the auxiliary rep that represents Japan as a country, and she's a very well-known teacher. She's had a lot published in Rug Cooking Magazine. She is and Magpie Times. She's very involved in lots of stuff that happened all over the world, but she is really like the kingpin of Japanese rug hooking, and she has been a huge proponent of the craft by being a teacher and doing a lot of outreach. And she shows up for everything. Paula, great to see you. Good morning in Southern California. Happy Monday morning. Let's make it a good week, right? I just love this piece. And in this book, we don't get a lot more information about what was going into each piece in terms of the composition or the thought process. We're not getting that kind of information. Of course, if you are in love with any one of these pieces, you could always write to the maker and say, "Hey, listen, can you tell me more about your piece? I'm in love and I need to know more." I'm sure that would be a very welcome email coming to any of the makers in this book, because there are, what do we say, 40? Let me check. 45 rugs in this book. I love this one because we're seeing the firefly on this little colorful blade of some kind of grass or some kind of leaf. And in the distance, it seems to me that we are seeing constellations. And of course, that is perfect because it's tipping us off that this is a nighttime scene. And the constellations not only create context and patterning in the back of the piece, patterning is very irregular, which I think really adds to it, right? It just adds to the interest of this piece, seeing all of those connecting lines. It sort of also hints at like the path or the movement of a firefly against the sky. Is it connecting stars in a constellation, or are these more fireflies in the night sky, and are some of them in motion and moving sort of out of focus, creating these paths as they go? I'm not sure, but I love the patterning that I'm seeing in this dark background that is predominantly blue. I know it looks probably black, but it's a gray blue. It looks like a textured wool mixed in with a little bit of soft black. So it could fall under the category of an antique black background. It is a dark background, but it's certainly not as solid. It really is such a beautiful pattern. Remember on Friday how we were talking about composition in some of these rugs, and we were saying that isn't it interesting how so many of them have a diagonal element in the composition. This is subtle, but there is a diagonal. It's like a curved sweep, right? Um, oh, hey, Buttons, you want to come over here, little one? Come on. There he goes. There he goes. And I think that's interesting because when you are talking about an insect, we're talking about a small character who has to function as the main character and the main motif in the entire composition. How do you make it work? He's just a little guy, right? Well, you make it work by creating a really strong composition where your main character is going to really, really be set off as, highlighted as the main focus, as the main motif. And one of the great tricks for doing that is creating a diagonal and placing the one motif, the single most important motif on the diagonal, because a diagonal defies the way that our eye reads. Our eyes read culturally side to side, right? Including in the Japanese culture too, even though they're, we're the other side to the other side, right? The other way around, or depending on where you're from, up, up, down, down, up, side to side, left, right, reverse. We all read differently, but we tend to read in rows, right? And there are exceptions, right? In Asian culture, reading top to bottom, but we tend to read in rows. And whether you're reading top to bottom or side to side, a diagonal is going to challenge that. That's why when you do one of those word searches, oh, Sharon, good morning, good to see you. When you do those word searches, aren't the diagonal ones the hardest ones to find? And that's for a good reason. It's because our eye is not used to reading stuff on the diagonal. It takes an extra second. And it serves your purpose well when you have a very simple composition, or at least a composition with one single main motif. You want to think about using that diagonal to your benefit because of that, because it'll make your eye work a little bit harder. And when it finds that character, you go, oh, okay, I see it. I get it. It's exciting. It holds you in place a little bit longer. It's a great device. It's just one of the many tricks in our bag of tricks that we can use when we're creating an original composition. Let's move on to another great bug. Hang on. I don't want to move too quickly because these are all gorgeous, but I want to look at a few this morning. Let's see. Let me find this in the book. This guy is striking, and in a second I'll be able to tell you who he is or she. Let's see. Nope, I think I'm going in the wrong direction. There we go. Okay, this is the Atlas moth. Oh, I've heard of this one, the Atlas moth. One of the largest moths across the lands, a wingspan as large as 2 human hands. Okay, I have to admit that gave me the heebie-jeebies. That's a big bug. Wingtip designs like big cobra snakes. To scare off predators, it wiggles and shakes. Although they have mouths, these moths do not eat. Food stored when a caterpillar, they slowly deplete. Oh my gosh, living for only 1 to 2 weeks. Its primary purpose, a mate it does seek. Isn't that interesting? So this is an enormous insect, and and it does not eat. This is an enormous insect. It's surprising that it needs to look like a cobra to like ward off predators. I would think its formidable size would be a deterrent. Um, but interesting that it doesn't eat. It just stores hungry caterpillar style a lot of food. And then I guess it just, as soon as it takes this form as the Atlas moth, it just is dying daily for a couple of weeks until it really is dead. Hopefully mates in the meantime, and and the circle of life continues. Interesting, isn't it? That's an interesting life. I would imagine it wouldn't have a long life. Number one, because it doesn't eat, but number two, because of its size. That's a big body to support. I mean, I know it's light, but still, wings that size must take a lot of energy to fly, I would think. It's a beautiful moth, the Atlas. Let's see who hooked this piece. Jean, no, yeah, Jean Shepherd of Anaheim, California. Sorry, definitely Jean Shepherd of Anaheim, California, the Atlas moth. So, what can we say of this moth? Well, we know Jean is like the all-time pro. This is another beautiful composition. You see what's happening here. Obviously, the moth is the focus, and it is important in a piece like this to show that it is a bigger size, particularly because we know that this is a children's book and it's supposed to be here for learning, right? So you don't want to make it look like the size of your thumbnail. This looks like a big insect, right? It's look at the size of the leaves to scale, right? It gives us some sense of proportion because there's so many leaves here. We don't know what the kind of leaves, but typically that's a lot of leaves, right? And this insect is bigger than five of them, right? Five is a good number for anything, whether we're talking about a bouquet of flowers, or we're talking about a cluster of leaves, or we're talking about a number of birds in the sky. Five is a good number, typically better than even numbers, right? For interest. Beautiful piece. We know that Jean is one of the great colorists of all time. And we're seeing a lot of lush colors in this semi-realistic moth. It really is beautifully done with some texturing, right? Around the top of the wings, you're seeing that kind of gray textured material. And then the fading within the wings, the colors are just exquisite. Can you also see from this photo that the antennae have what look like a little sort of daisy stitch going around them, cilia, right? We use the word cilia on Friday night. I don't know if that's the correct word in this context, but there are little hairs or little whatever's cilia coming off of the two antennae. And instead of doing those with a bunch of cut or looped pieces of wool, they're done much more daintily on the surface with a daisy stitch. That makes a lot of sense to me because you do want to know that the antennae are not these two kind of like leathery cords, but they are these really hairy kind of textured um, um, strands or antenna. I don't know what else to call them. Um, that's part of the interest, I think, to the way that this thing looks. That's a standout feature. While the Atlas moth is hooked quite realistically, like semi-realistically, the leaves are done very graphically. And I think that's a great effect because it's almost like we're seeing the main motif in real focus. And then we move toward the supporting parts of the composition, the background and the leaves, right? He's sitting on kind of a bed of leaves. And the leaves are done in a more graphic way, not as realistically. And they are so beautiful because they draw us out to the corners, the far corners of the composition. We're seeing the cluster of five that shoots from just off center at the bottom of the piece, right? You're seeing the purple stems that lead into the vein of the leaf, and they're coming just off center. We don't really want center, do we? With anything but symmetrical compositions, we always want off center for interest. Little bit off center, and they're shooting up in different directions, and they're pointing so that our eye is kind of being carried out to the far corners and the sides of the composition, right? It's a really smart composition to kind of layer the leaves this way, so we are dragged to the edges of the piece, the borders of the piece. And there's such striking colors and such compelling colors. They are leafy colors, but lots of different colors in there, not just the appley green, but the minty greens, the pistachio greens, the sea greens, right? Lots of different colors. And that beautiful contrasting purple that kind of multicolor changes at times to more of a red wine color brings us right to the tip of those leaves. And those leads back onto a background that is really a very, oh, Catherine, great to see you. Happy Monday morning. The background is a very inky, dark background, kind of like dark purple grape juice or India kind of indigo blue or kind of inky colors. There's a mix of colors. I'm seeing some colors that are like the deep plum or mulberry, it moving toward like the grapes or the grape juice. Really beautiful with some darker scrolls in there. You see a lot of scroll patterning in the background, right? I'll make it a little bit bigger just in case that's hard to see. It's definitely hard for me to see because this, oh, I'm sorry, I shut the picture off too. Because of this winter sun. Oh boy, look at me. Look at me, huh? Sorry. How'd I do this, right? How'd I do that so fast? All right, here. Let me make this just a little bit bigger. I want to be sure that you see all that nice patterning in the background. You know, people do get bored with doing backgrounds. It's nice to see the way other people will fill a background with swirls and scrolls and marble cake or a pattern or whatever, just to keep things interesting. My buddy Linda Ann in Canada is working on an 8-foot hit or miss rug right now. And she started off the year thinking it would be so relaxing doing a hooked rug piece, right? Just meditative and relaxing. And then she started leaving messages that she was kind of half crying because she's so tired of working on it and she's so bored of it. So I keep saying to her, maybe you just need to walk away for a little while. An 8-foot rug, no matter what the patterning is or how fast it's going, that's a big project. You're looking at it for a long time. I don't want to look at anything for a long time. I also don't want to look at anyone's face for a long time, right? Variety is the spice of life. But backgrounds work the same way. You can get terribly tired of working on a background. It really puts you off a project. So a background like this is a great reminder that there's so many ways to keep it lively. Sharon says, I thought I saw snake's head. What is the size of these rugs? They have such details. Funny that you say that, Sharon, because this atlas moth is self kind of patterned to look like cobras. So it doesn't surprise me that you think you see the snake's heads. The tips of the wings they look like cobras' faces. That's a defense mechanism for this moth. This moth is 2 hands big, like 2 human hands. So this is a massive creature, and we don't know the size of the rugs. So when I saw them in the show, my memory is that they were enormous, like not enormous, but that they were 20 plus inches across. That's just my memory from 2 years ago. So I'm not sure. And I also can't say that I remember whether they were all the same size or whether they varied. Also not sure. Um, yeah. And again, because this is a children's book, the emphasis isn't on the details of the hooked rugs. And I do think it's a great idea. If you're really interested or love anyone in particular, it is worth writing to the maker to say like, could I hook that pattern? Is the pattern for sale? Can I know more about how you did this? Um, it might be a fun thing to do for both Magpie and Tigger. If I got in touch with I would ask obviously Leslie and Yvonne. They were the former board members. I could ask if I could do a series of interviews with the individual makers for Tigger and Ribbon Candy so that we could hear more from each maker about these pieces. Maybe I'll do that. That might be a good idea, right? I hadn't thought of that yet, but that might be a really good idea. I could do some live videos and then I could put an article into the next Magpie Times for people who are a little bit more shy and don't want to do a live thing with me. That's actually a really good idea, isn't it? Because while this book is a super piece of eye candy, and this is where the photos are, it would be nice to know a little bit more hooker-wise about each one of these pieces. Well, this piece I can tell you, this character is the spiny flower mantis. His poem goes like this. Exoskeleton covered in fierce-looking spikes makes predators turn away with a yikes. When threatened, their forewings reach for the skies, so they appear a large creature with big golden eyes. Oh, I can see that, right? Because they do have a little dot in the center, but when you look away, it looks like they have giant eyes. 7 to 8 times their skin will be shed by shaking and hanging inverted, it said. Their colors are also a big, beautiful disguise, fooling those seeking a small, tasty prize. I didn't notice that until I read that. The colors in this thing are bonkers. I mean, look at the amount of color in this spiny flower mantis. Let's see who hooked this piece. This piece is hooked by Dr. Helena Bienkowski of Amherst, Nova Scotia, Canada. Very, very nice. Remember, I'm skipping a lot of rugs in this book. It's a good reason to contact Gail Dufresne or Leslie Knight about getting this book because I am skipping a lot of them. And it's not because they are not the best. It is because there's a lot in the book, right? And I'd like for you to support the book. So yeah, we are skipping a lot. This is such an interesting piece for so many reasons. I also want to point out, if you look at the background of this piece, it's also a close-up of this piece that they use as the back jacket, where we see Leslie and Yvonne in the tight loops of this piece, right? So this looks to me to be a punched piece. I can't be sure. See what you think as well. But when I look at, I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. When I look at the motion of the background, the circles, but mostly the swirling patterns of the background, hold on one second. I'm just making it bigger. It seems to me more of a punch thing, right? You do tend to get more motion, right? When you work with that kind of a tool, a punching tool or a tufting tool, as opposed to a hook. So my guess would be this is punched. It is a remarkable piece. It might be punched and hooked. When I look at the white network on the wings, it further supports my idea that it's punched, right? Just the way that you see that kind of drag element is different. It looks different than independent loops that are sticking up. It just feels different to me. Really beautiful piece. I love it's hard to imagine this being spiky, but I mean, obviously it is, and you can see the little spikes sticking off its body. Such a beautiful thing, isn't it? It's like such a relaxed looking little caterpillar praying mantis character. I love their faces, these mantises. They always look so human in the face, I just love there's some kind of humanity to these little guys and grasping onto this little thin stick like its life depends on it, which it does. It's just such a beautiful little character, and these wings they're gorgeous. And of course, we are seeing patterning on the wings that do look like spots on larger predators, like other kinds of reptiles and larger insects. We're seeing spots of mammals, right? It's like a copycat thing, and it's for a defense. But also, these colors are confusing, and um, they're confusing. So I would think for a predator, you'd look at it and you go, "What am I looking at here?" For us, it's a lot of patterning on one character, so it makes such sense composition wise that the background would be very tame, right? Like mostly green with the circles. It's to me perfection. One little filigree stick and then like a pretty yep, a pretty green background to keep things stable, right? Because if you had a patterned background or lots of flowers on this, it could quickly become very confusing, don't you think? So the patterning, I think a lot of the heavy lifting here is being done by the punch. Just when I look at the antenna and when I look at the black border, it really cements my idea that this is punch. Just the way that punch comes and goes too. You know how some of your loops kind of disappear or get swallowed up. That's way more of a punch thing than a hooking phenomenon. It gives it more of a sketchbook quality. I love that about punch. Dave, great to see you. You're waiting for your coffee. I'm happy that you're there too. Just love this piece. And you do see a lot of different patterning around the background. Same as Jean's piece that we just saw with that busy, inky colored background. This one has a very busy background as well. And the pattern, the subtle patterning, same color patterning in the background really does support the patterning in the insect, right? Because it's pattern upon pattern, but very high contrast, easy to see. I love the grassy green background for this very yellow heavy character. It's a very cheerful, summery piece. I think the colors are fantastic. Lots of warm colors in the bug. The grassy green is a warm green background, and I love seeing those sorts of designy kind of bubbles, right? Just for fun patterning the circles in a cooler green. That's a much cooler green. That's much more of a gray green or a blue green. Contrast is great. Remember our conversation from Friday when we were talking about how to get transparency in wings? Well, this is a different example of that. We are actually seeing, instead of a lighter version or the same version of the green through the wings, we are seeing that more blue green. And it does make visual sense because that color is present in other places on this composition. So it makes sense for us to, our eye connects those colors, right? But it is a different way, and it's a more graphic way of showing transparency or semi-transparency through something like an insect's wings. Absolutely gorgeous piece. I mean, aren't they all? There isn't a miss in this book. This is a funny guy. I used this for the thumbnail today. This is the giraffe weevil. So this is a character I would not want to encounter. This is a heebie-jeebie maker for sure. I mean, but when you look at him like this, he is so dopey and silly looking that you almost forgive him for being a weevil. You see, oh, it just shivered. You see the tips of his little hands, paws, arms, doodlers, and with the pinchy fingers, right? He's got 6 pinchy fingers. He's got little sort of antennae that look like they a little bit spiky and have cattails on the end. He's a funny looking character. He looks like a piece of plumbing, right? It makes you wonder what's it all about, Alfie? I mean, this is a very long neck for this guy. I would think it'd be a bit of a detriment, right? More, I was going to say more to step on, but we don't really mean that, do we? Because these are all precious and in some cases rare creatures. Says someone who is at this point finding mice and driving them to the mill on the other side of the river, just so they don't make their way back in. We haven't seen a lot lately because Pitter Pat sleeps upstairs now, but we don't. I can't kill much. The ants, yeah, I'm sorry. But other stuff, we usually put bugs outside. I have to say, we're pretty crazy in this house. And my husband, being formerly a biologist, finds it so interesting to touch the grossest things that he sees. Stuff that I have to stand on a chair for, he's like touching with his hand. Jocelyn, too. Anyway, beautiful creatures, right? Including the giraffe weevil. Mostly black with shiny red shells. In Madagascar is where this bug dwells. Well, now that makes sense, right? Because we know the biggest bugs, like the Madagascan cockroach. Jossie loves holding those too. Those are, you get such big bugs there, don't you? Oh, in Madagascar is where this bug dwells. The male has a neck that is really quite long. Okay, so this is the boy. That explains a lot. It dances and struts to show females he's strong. Well, that is kind of cute. I guess that's him dancing in the background there. Break it down. Choo, 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 choo. The single egg the female will lay in a long leafy tube to keep trouble at bay. Encasing it takes 30 minutes or more. The package then dropped to the cool forest floor. Oh, and then more of them bust out, right? So you shouldn't see this buddy at your house, right? Unless you live in Madagascar. I hope I'm understanding that correctly. Let me see who hooked this one. It is a great one to choose. Jess Stepanatis of Lake Echo, Nova Scotia, Canada. This is a great one to choose because, my God, it is a really unusual looking bug. And this is a main character, right? This is a leading male for sure. It's such a funny looking thing. I love the composition because it's almost like it is a symmetrical composition. It's almost like if you fold it in half, it's going to be same side to side, but it's not. This giraffe weevil has a lot of moves, has a lot of dance moves. So we're catching him in lots of stages of dance. around the edge. And also notice this looks like a fairly wide cut, at least in the background. The color changes. We are seeing outlining the silhouetted versions of the giraffe weevil. We're seeing like a more blue green color than the rest of it, right? They're outlined in kind of a blue green, and then we see the background go from kind of sagey green to more of a celery green, and then a lighter celery green. As you get in toward the main character, the big dancer, we're seeing a lighter color. It's kind of glowing behind him, and on the sides we're seeing darker shading, shadowing. So, and of course the background bugs, the backup dancers, are in silhouette. So just a great idea for a composition. It's a very strong composition because of the multiples. And I think this is all these compositions are brilliant. I think this is really brilliant as well because it's such an odd looking bug. You know, two things. It's such an odd looking bug. It really has to be featured huge to really understand what its body looks like. But at the same time, number two, a huge part of this bug's story is that it's a dancer, right? Like chorus line, God, I'm a dancer. Like this bug is a dancer. And we want to see it dance. So we get all these like, backup images of the bug in different poses. And that's important too, because this is one of the big things about this bug, is that he's got the moves, he's got the rhythm. So I think this composition is great because it does both. It shows you sort of humorous look at all of the movements, but it also shows you the bug scientifically and very close up, so you know just what he looks like. I think we'll look at one more on the show and then we'll decide. I do have so many more bugs for you. I hate to um, not look at them. Let's look at one more on this show anyway so I can get back to work. I got a lot of orders over the weekend too, and I want to put the new kit up for sale. I want to be sure I get that done. But let's look at this one. Another beauty here. Let's see who we have got. Um, hang on. Okay, this is water boatman. Water boatman. Skimming over water on fronts or backs, ready and watchful for enemy attacks. Ponds and lakes are what they call home, nibbling on water plants as they roam. Breathing through holes along their sides is how they get air to help them take strides. Called water crickets because they sing tunes. Legs rubbed on heads is how they can croon. Oh, how cute is that? I mean, is it cute? Maybe that's the wrong word. I love the fact that it has songs to sing, and I love it. I love it when they do rubsies, right? That is always adorable. This one is hooked by my buddy Janine Brocius, of Full-Time River North America. I'm sorry, Full-Time River, full-time RVer. What a ding dong. Full-Time River. I'm like, wow, that's a weird name. Very literal, full-time RVer. She is so funny. Right? We just did a show with her last month. And her new book is out too. Don't forget, Janine Brocius's new book is out about her life RVing and her art and her rugs and another beautiful book to acquire. So this is Janine's Water Boatman. It's a beautiful piece. Again, what's going on here that we've talked about? It's a diagonal, isn't it? It's really strong. We are seeing a couple of things that we've talked about, focusing composition for a fairly complicated character, right? This isn't as complicated as some we've seen, but there's a lot of patterning on this bug. You don't want to see this bug small. You need to see it close up. It's got kind of a leopard print on it, right? And it does have all of that hair, fur, cilia coming off of its rear end, right? Heebie-jeebie maker. But it does have patterning in it as well. You want to see the bug close up, but it's not like it's many, many, many colors like the last one that we saw, right? That the one that had the different colored wings, the mantis, right? It's not that kind of patterning. So this one can afford to have a slightly patterned background as well. The pattern in the background is very uniform. We are seeing like sea plants rising up it through the water, and we're seeing kind of a watercolor impressionist background, splashes, very watercolor style of greens and really highly keyed apple greens, blues, dark blues, just like looking into a pond from a boat. looking into the deep part, right, and seeing all of these colors, the brighter colors closer to the surface. Really smart idea because it is fairly regular patterning on the water boatman himself, and then fairly regular patterning in the background. Like Gene Shepherd's composition, remember he started with leaves that were just off center, that came from, were sprouting from as a central point just off center. Same thing here, right? You don't want things on that center line. It becomes too matchy. Just off center, we're seeing all of these um, the kind of stalks or um, grasses uh, popping up, growing upward from just off center as their main point. And then they kind of fan out and branch out. And that creates the sort of spider web that serves as the structure of the background. We're seeing all of the watercolor through it. But this is the kind of vehicle, the greenery is the kind of a vehicle that is hosting the water boatman, and then we're seeing all of the watercolor splashes of color. It is a beautifully done piece. So we're working with that one motif on the background, just get the lines in, right? Start off center and get the lines in. And the other device, make your very unusual and complicated looking character, put him on the diagonal. So we can really see the whole body. Because if he was going side to side, it'd have to be a little bit smaller, right? And if he was going just side to side or top to bottom, he would look like a more scientific illustration, or like a children's book illustration. The giraffe weevil was like front and center, but of course that sort of vibe was broken up with all of the dancing silhouettes of the giraffe weevil around the edges. So that's how they got around that looking a little bit too informal, right? Otherwise, a diagonal is just a good call. I'm going to make a call myself because we have looked at a few of these, but out of the 45, we've looked at very few. I might do one more episode where we look at this book one more time. Again, we're looking at this beautiful book. Sorry, I forgot to turn the green screen off. Magnificent Bugs and Rugs by Yvonne Eitenscott and Leslie Knight. And if you are looking for this book, look at if you're looking to buy this book, look for those names in the description of this video, because Gail Dufresne is selling this book from the U.S. and Leslie Knight is selling this book from Canada. So make sure you contact the right person so you get the best shipping price, right? We don't need to pay extra for shipping. I'm going to get back to work. It is a busy day ahead, and I will get. I need help from my husband when I post stuff online. So I can hear he's on a conference call, but then I will get up the February kit. I will write to everybody who sent me I am hell bent and I need the February kit. I will send a notice to you first and I will subtract the ones that you reserved from the total that I have. And then it will be an up for grabs. I'm hoping that when he's having lunch, what time is it? 12, probably in about an hour. I'm hoping he can put it up then, just so you have a time frame. And as soon as it is live, I will immediately put the link in the Facebook group, which is Rug Cooking and Punch Needle Club. So it'll be there for you. In the meantime, I'm going to work on some patterns. I have some big orders to get out. I'm going to do a couple more chapters of the Rose book. And then in the evening, I started working on my first pattern for Spilling the Tea. Rita, I'm going to do that birdcage thing. I'll do that right now, too. I forgot, just in case you're interested in it. I just dropped all my pieces. This is one of the pieces I think I started to show you that I'm doing for the birdcage book. This pattern is about wigs. The peruke maker, who was also the barber, who was also the surgeon. In some ways, when your computer is being possessed by a cursor slash planchette, you're not happy with technology. But when you hear that the person who does your hair is also the barber and the surgeon, you are happy that it is 2026, right? So that's if this colorful thing is my needle nanny from the Haunted Rug book. I still have those, by the way. I should put those up. But she's going to be here. I did her hair with that crazy loopy material, and and it's got a lot of text. This piece from a song from the 1700s. I'm going to have to block this. It is so. Remember how I had a lot of space behind it? I had all those holidays. Well, I mean, look at it now. Look what I do. I saw space and I just kept overdoing it. I'm gonna have to see if I can make that sit well again. Because when I finished her, I had a lot of extra material. I was afraid I would run out. That's why I hooked her so loosely. But then I did my check-in for ticks and the dog. And I was like looking for tiny holes and then pulling through these huge pieces through tiny holes. Now she is well packed. And if she can't bounce back, I'll do a video, but you can see I'm going to have to take some of it out because that's the kind of stupid thing I do when I'm watching BritBox. But you see in the background, I pulled out some colors I chose at first. I'm going to do it in that teal color. I'm going to do the background. And then on her head, she's got a clipper ship. And that was one of the hairstyles that they did in those days. So I'll do that in like the white sails and the brown ship, which I think will go good against this teal. And I'm going to do a little bit of confetti in the teal. I never can make it easy for myself. This was a skirt that I found in one of my whatevers downstairs. And I thought, there's more than this, but it's just a skirt and it's not even a long skirt. So I'm almost certainly going to be playing chicken sooner rather than later. So I'm going to figure out how to get that text in there safely, how to get as much of that color as I can. And then I'm going to make a decision about whether I want to dye a similar color, which I probably do. Probably do actually. It won't be exactly the same color. I don't know that I would want it the same color, but yeah, I created another stupid problem for myself because I started hooking with something that now I'm in love with that is never going to cover the background of this thing. Problem number one. And problem number two is that I completely packed her wig. So that didn't sound right at all, did it? So I'm almost certainly going to have to deal with that too because it's a hot mess. And I don't know that I want to really block it like crazy because it has some high relief going on. Like it's very nubby, and it's got this particular yarn had tons of sari silk in it. I mean, I just feel like I screwed it up the more I look at it because I feel like I haven't done her face yet, but I feel like it was such a nubby yarn. It's so textured. I feel like in packing it so much that I somehow lost the texture. I don't know. Maybe it'll be all right later. Maybe it'll be all right in the end. We'll see. I'll finish hooking around her. And I do want it to be this is me enabling myself, right? Because I don't want to pull it out. It might be that when I finish packing the rest of the composition that it all comes out in the wash. Number one, it also might be that the way that it's packed makes it look a bit Waldeboro, like it's so puffy and buckly that it might actually look three-dimensional in a way that works. I don't know. Um, oh, Diane, you said we need more bugs. Okay, we'll look at more bugs. Diane said looked like a batik background. That one that Janine did, right? That was all watercolor. Did look like a batik background. It really did because some of the light spots look like the wax resist of another color. That's a really cool idea. Remember, we can always applique onto our backings, just like quilters can, and then hook in the spots that are left, right? That's always open to us. Artist's dilemma. I know. But if you don't create problems for yourself, almost on purpose, there's less dilemmas. Unfortunately, I'm just not that person. I will always create new problems, new things to complain about. Oh well, we all got to be who we are, right? So I think I will see you on Friday. Let me just check the calendar real fast. Might be that I come back to you midweek to do a midweek show. Let's see what I got going on this week. I feel like there's some craziness going on. Oh, February. I was looking at January. Okay, I have a doctor thing on Friday. Um, Thursday looks like an open day. I might come to you on Thursday morning to do another morning show. That would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense. I might move the Friday show to Sunday only because I have a doctor's appointment at like 4:30 and it's a procedure. So I might be unhappy after it. It's one of the camera ones. And it's not a colonoscopy. So that doesn't leave much, does it? So yeah, still looking for what's the problem with my blood, right? It's still the same theme. What's the problem with the blood? So yeah, so I might move the Friday show to Sunday, but I will plan on running. I'm going to put it on the calendar a show at 11 so we can look at more bugs at 11. We'll see how that goes. That should work. I'll let you know if it doesn't. One other thing I want to tell you is that want to remind you that on the 14th, if you're local to me here, on Valentine's Day, I do have that big hooked rug show at my church, which is the Unitarian Society of Hartford. It is not in the center of Hartford. It is in a residential area with a big parking lot and handicap access everywhere. In fact, we have like chairs and walkers inside. it's turning into quite a big party, and we are having food and drinks and stuff at the party. A lot of people, my friends from the congregation coming, a lot of hookers coming, a lot of people who hook stuff. There are 40 rugs up in this show. So if you are free on Valentine's Day, which is February the 14th, it's a Saturday. It starts at 3 p.m. 50 Bloomfield Ave, the Unitarian Society of Hartford. Come, I'll do a short presentation. We can look at the rugs together. There'll be food, there'll be drink. I'm hoping a couple people will set up to hook, just so, people who are non-hookers were saying at church yesterday, like, how does it look when it's done? A lot of them have already taken classes with me hooking, but a lot of them have not. They work during the day or whatever. They would like to see hooking happen, like to see what it looks like. Let's do some outreach. So if you're free, let me know or send me a message to Packing powers activate. Form of seagull. Form of a bucket of ice, right? Big, great background fills in this group. Absolutely. This was really good for that specific subject. So think about February the 14th if you're able. And also, I just put out coming back after taking a long break. You know how I was doing all the design like classes. I just put out design like Clarice Cliff. Do you know Clarice Cliff? And if you're thinking, didn't she do pottery? Yes, she did. But she did very recognizable pottery with Sunbonnet Sue characters, story book cottages. The artist Alita Akers, who does a lot of storybook cottages. She gets most, I think, of her inspiration from Clarice Cliff, right? And Cushing carries those patterns. Well, the idea of doing a storybook cottage obviously does not have a copyright. And Clarice Cliff is out of copyright. So lots of motifs, lots of art, early 20th century patterning. It's going to be a great design, like about a woman who started, right, for this rural part of England, who started as just someone who worked on the shop floor to very quickly being the head of the design department for this pottery company. It is like a rags to riches female hero story, like one of the great sort of feminist stories. She was incredible, massive success in her lifetime, employing lots of other people, mostly women. Um, just beautiful art, beautiful designs that will translate very well to rug hooking pieces. So that'll be a fun design, and that is both live and recorded. That happens on Thursday, February 19th. I think I did 4 to 6, something like that. Hopefully right before dinner for me, and a little bit earlier if you're on the West Coast. But it'll be a fun class to do a little bit about her life, but lots of design exercises during it. If you're not able to join us for class, or if you do join us for class, you will still receive the full recording with anything that class comes with. Like if I end up doing sketches in advance and send those out, you will get those too. You get all the same stuff, whether you watch it live with me, whether we do it live, or whether you are at home watching it later. And you can watch it to infinity, right? You can watch it 1,000 times if you want, to keep pausing it and doing the exercises, or breaking it up over the course of weeks, doing different exercises at different times. But it is recorded and it is there for you. That'll be the next design like that is coming your way. So make sure that you sign up for that too. So we have a nice big group in person. The only difference between doing it live is that you're able to interact with me if you want to say, what do you think of this? And you want to show your piece, kind of a thing. Otherwise, there's no difference between watching it later and being with me live, right? It's just the possibility of interacting. I'm going to work. All right, everybody, have a great day. I have it on my calendar to be back with you at Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will look at more bugs, and I think I will almost certainly shift the weekend show to Sunday night. And I will be thinking about the subject for that. I don't want to do bugs, 2 weekend shows in a row. So let me think about a great subject for this coming weekend. Give me some suggestions if you like. And write me at ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com if you are looking for magpie conversations, or one of the spill in the tea patterns, or anything at all, or sending your piece in for the next gallery night, which will probably be in 2 weeks. Alrighty, everybody.